Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and on today's episode, we're taking a look at a new retro line based on a real nostalgic cartoon series that I watched when I was a kid growing up that now has a modern toy line that is infinitely superior to what we got back in the day. I gotta tell you guys, I wish I had these when I was a kid because man, they are good. And I'm so excited today to introduce you guys to the Nacelle Company's Biker Mice from Mars figures. I've got Vinny in my hand right now, but that's not all because today we are joined as well by Moto. And rounding out our trio, we've got Throttle right here. So this is the entire first wave of Biker Mice from Mars action figures from the Nacelle Company, and I'm just getting goosebumps holding these guys. I really can't wait to get them out of the packaging. But hey, speaking of, let's talk about these boxes real quick because they are pretty darn cool too. Each Biker Mice from Mars figure is packaged in a very collector-friendly box, and that's really just what it is. It is a simple box, there's no blister here, so it's gonna be really easy to take them out of the tray and put everything back in whenever you're done displaying them or doing what you're gonna do with them. We've got the classic Biker Mice colors as well as that signature iconic Biker Mice from Mars logo on the front, and the colors and everything, they really kind of remind me of that original Galoob action figure. But unlike that, again, this is that more collector-friendly style packaging, and that also allows us to see everything that this figure is coming with, or at least a good portion of everything, because there's a lot of accessories in all of these figures. And that includes alternate heads, weapons, hands, and a bunch of other really cool stuff. On the sides of each of these figures, we've got a cartoon image of these characters, and that is for both sides as well. It doesn't matter which side you have, so they're pretty much essentially identical as far as the sides of the packaging go. And the back of the packages are almost identical too, but don't be deceived here because there's actually a few differences. And the main difference is that each of them comes with a separate bio. So you're gonna see all three of these cartoon characters at the back of every single box here, but the bio is unique to whoever this particular figure is, and they're all really nicely written bios. They explain to you perfectly what's going on with these characters, who they are, what they do, what's important to them, their motivations. Really nice, really simple, just excellently done. What's also kind of fun is the Nacelle logo here. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Galoob logo, and that's a nice throwback to who made these toys originally. And another nice thing we've got on the back of this box here is that there's Nacelle points. Now, if you checked out my video about the Sectars, you would have seen that there were Nacelle points on that too. So in theory, you could be collecting all these Nacelle points to get maybe something. I don't know. I actually don't know if they're going to really do anything with the Nacelle points, but it's kind of a fun throwback to, again, collecting in the 80s and the 90s when you got to have collector's points and you mail them away for something really awesome. So even if you don't, it's just fun to have it there. So that's our look at the Biker Mice from Mars packaging. So at this point, it's time to go ahead and get these guys out of the boxes and take a closer look at them from all angles. And here are our Biker Mice from Mars figures all out of the packaging, and I didn't even realize that they're all in size order. That just goes to show you how much I really knew about this line, but yeah, it turns out they're all different sizes more or less. So yeah, Moto being the tallest, Throttle being medium size, let's just say, and then Vinny over here being the smallest of the trio. So here are all three of the figures. I wanted to do a quick rotation of them all, but I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I normally do that because I've got this nice rotating base here, but I'm not going to do that because I don't know how stable I feel with these figures. They look pretty stable. I'm going to play with them a little bit more during this video, and then we'll see. But, as I just learned, none of these guys have any holes on the bottom of their feet for, like, bases. And that's just kind of a thing across the board, it looks like, with Nacelle Company figures. So while I do have, like, plenty of bases to use for toys, unfortunately, none of these guys will fit into anything short of something that actually attaches around their waist. So we're going to just do some talking and play around with these guys, and we'll see whether or not we can actually do some rotations with them. That's not that important. So let's get into things here, and let's start first by talking about these likenesses and just how these guys look. And I gotta say, these guys are pretty darn amazing looking. You know, it's quite an upgrade from the originals, but they still really hold a lot of that original flair from what we got in the Biker Mice in the 90s. Just, better, quite honestly. So for the one thing that I think a lot of people are going to want to know right off the bat, and that's for those who collected the originals, is do the antenna move? Well, let's find out. And that's a no. So yeah, none of the antenna will move. Unlike the originals, which you could actually push down, and that's how you got the helmets on them. This time around, they do not come down, but you don't really need to do that. So we'll explain why as we get into accessories. But either way, as far as likenesses go and the look of these guys, I mean, these are all great. I'm actually kind of curious now if the glasses come off. Looks like they actually might come off his face. I'm actually going to leave Throttle's glasses on his face because I want that to be a thing you can try out on your own in case you don't want to get spoiled, but yeah, they do actually move. They all look really good. They remind me a lot of those original toys, just a little bit nicer. You got even the two earrings that Vinny has in his ear there. So all the details you would have liked to have seen when you were a kid or saw when you were a kid, they're still here, and then some. Yeah, it just looks really nice. Vinny was the one that I think I had first, and it's kind of fun to see him back here in this format and just looking the way he does. Man, such a nice upgrade. And same thing with Moto. So again, if you're someone who collected the older figures, you're going to really be happy as far as the look of these things go, especially just talk about the heads. Like these are spot on. These are excellent looking here. There's definitely some other upgrades along the way that we're going to talk about here. Now, as far as size goes compared to the originals, pretty positive that the ones that we're looking at today are bigger than the Galoob ones that came out, many, many years ago. But still, overall, very impressive. Good start here. And I'm going to be daring right now. Let's try doing this rotation, and just so I can give you guys a nice quick look at all of their outfits and everything here that's with them. And, again, even the outfits look really good. One thing that has been kept fairly similar as well is the articulation on these guys. So you can see that, the original figures, they had a pretty good amount of articulation, and so do these newer ones here. They have ball-jointed shoulders, they've got ball-jointed legs, they've got a lot of thigh cuts. So there's a lot going on here. But yeah, even just like head to toe, these still look like the originals that we got decades ago, and that to me is just wild. I'm really digging how they all look. That's head to toe too. I mean, even just the way the legs are, the boots, everything about these. Again, just more articulation, which is never a bad thing. I mean, I didn't really collect a lot of the other Biker Mice figures. I really just liked the mice, and they had really good articulation back then, but this is like another level of articulation because, we're here now, 2024. It's a very different world. And likewise, in case you're wondering, the tails do articulate as well. There's Vinny's hanging out in the back over there. They're all just colorful and really well designed, and just really fill you up with that nostalgia goodness that you want to get with action figures that are like this. Just head to toe. Great looking stuff here. This is a job well done, Nacelle. Very impressive here. We looked at the Sectors figures not that long ago, and those were similarly very good as far as keeping the look of the originals and then elevating it to a different level. And that's what we're getting here. We're really getting that same feel, the same vibe, but it's just better. And that's really the best way to put it. And it really makes me excited to get those motorcycles whenever those are going to be coming out. Let's actually spend a little bit more time on articulation too while we're here. And I just want to show you guys all the things it does. So all the figures have ball jointed heads and they move around like that. They all have ball jointed shoulders. And I should add that I did not have to heat up the joints on these figures at all. They all, and I'm saying all of them, move freely out of the box. So that's always a big positive. So besides the ball jointed shoulders, we've got the bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow, which looks really great. The wrists can bend and they can flex, and really good amount of flexibility there. The torsos move really nicely. The waists, looks like the waists do not move, so it's kind of like the Diamond Select figures. As far as I can tell, looks like the waists, they're just not moving, but you have the chest to kind of make up for that. Now in the legs, you do have some good joints there, some nice big ball joints. The problem is if there's anything around their waists like Throttle has, then they're not going to really be able to move to the fullest amount of articulation. So, that's just something to be aware of. The knees are all double jointed, so you can get a good amount of mobility there. And likewise, the feet have looks like, let's see these boots actually move or not. Yes, okay, the boots do articulate, and looks like the feet, let's see, I don't think they can really flex. Actually, no, they should be able to flex. Yes, they do. All right, cool. I couldn't tell. That was like the one joint. That was like the one joint that was a little bit stiff, but turns out it just needed a little bit of wiggle, and there we go. And again, you can see what I mean, that there are no peg holes on the bottom of these feet. So luckily, they are pretty flat, but I would feel much better if they started putting some holes in these things to get them on some bases. And again, the articulation is the same across the board, but I just wanted to show you Vinny just so you could see how far these legs can actually move when there's nothing in the way. So that's just him doing his nice little V stretches here. But if you want to have him like this, you can have him like that. I mean, yeah, just very good posability here. Really great. Looks like the waist, okay, actually Vinny's waist moves, so interesting. So I don't know what's up with Throttles, it just wasn't moving, but still a lot of articulation here, and we haven't even talked about one of the coolest parts of it. Now we'll show you that with Moto, and that's the tails. The tails, just like the originals, are still articulated, and you may have heard in the video earlier, something fell off while we were looking at Throttle. That's because the tails are actually removable and very easy to remove. So if you need to get them into a vehicle or something, this might be the better way to do it, but again, it's basically a ball joint, and you get it back in there, and you can move the tail wherever you want it to go. So even more articulation here. I gotta tell you guys, it's hard to pick a favorite amongst the bunch here, but I really, really like Moto. I really dig the armor that he has, all the detail, but I especially like this robot arm. It's just a lot of fun to play with and to pose. So yeah, that's really cool. So let's spend some time now talking about the many, many accessories that all three of our Biker Mice from Mars come with. And since Moto is already out, I'm going to use him. So every Biker Mice from Mars comes with an additional pair of heads. So we have 3 heads total for every mouse. So I'm going to do some head swapping right now. I think I'm going to swap this one just because this one's pretty much the same thing, just a different expression on his face. And that's kind of how they all are. They each have like a kind of neutral expression and then one that's a little bit more expressive. But I am going to pop the head off, and we're going to talk about, again, how I said earlier, I remember those antennae used to go up and down. Well, you don't need to do that anymore because now they have completely separate heads, and super easy. Yeah, I gotta tell you guys, the swapping the heads, no problems there. That's just so smooth. But there you go. Yeah, you no longer have to worry about it. This looks a lot sleeker, a lot more cartoon accurate also. I think the original toys, they all had, I feel like different types of helmet designs or more colorful helmets. This feels like it's actually a lot closer to how it would have looked on the show. So yeah, all 3 of them come with different heads and they all look really good. Just to be complete, here is Vinny's head as I hold it by the antenna. Here's his other heads. You guys can see there. Very nice. And here are Throttle's other heads. Obviously the glasses are not going to be removable on this one here. But again, as far as like the heads with the sunglasses go, you can actually kind of like move them around and possibly take them off, which is, I don't think the originals had that. I don't remember, but it's a very nice, cool little feature. And just, again, really wonderful sculpting on them. Really, really nice, you guys. Now, every one of the mice comes with a bunch of different hands. I think they all have 4 additional hands, in fact. I'm not going to swap out all of them, mainly because we don't really need to, but I'm going to show you guys a few of the other accessories, and the first is one that all 3 of them come with, and that would be these sort of blasters over here. And you talk about colorful 90s weaponry, right? I mean, this is what you're talking about right here. These are, man, they are such a sign of the times. Look at these crazy colors on them. Yeah, you've got some pretty good detail here, though, as well. I mean, these aren't exactly the most intricately designed accessories, but still all the little nooks and crannies that you want, they are present here. And in case you're wondering, by the way, there is a holster on Throttle's side. Nothing comes out of here, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, it just wiggles because it's softer plastic. But yeah, that gun is not going anywhere. But he does have this hand here, so let's see if we can get this on his hand without any issues. I think we should just be able to slide it around in because the hands are very soft. Yep, there we go. That took no time at all, and you can see how that looks right there. And to me, that looks pretty darn good. And in case you're wondering, the other hands are closed fists and just kind of like more generic open hands. So really, I mean, these are the hands that you're going to want because these are the ones that can hold the accessories. But, you know, again, they do have lots of hands. And just to be more complete, again, I will just show you guys that the hands come out very easily. Like, I'm not doing this just because I don't want to show all of them. I don't want to deal with popping them in and out. They come in and out with no problem. It's just a lot of figures. I'm not going to make you guys sit through all of that. I want to show you guys some of the cool functions about them. And, you know, that is one of the big things here is they still have some more accessories to talk about. And I think I will do a head swap here just to show you guys. Oh, yeah, and that scarf does come off from Vinny. But, yeah, let's swap heads here because I want to talk about the accessory that was, like, mostly touted at Toy Fair when I met Brian Volkweiss at the Nacelle Toys booth. There's one accessory he was really, really excited about, and that would be this right here, the hot dog. Each one of them comes with a hot dog. This is their favorite thing to snack on. And yeah, I don't think the originals came with hot dogs, so this is kind of a big deal for Biker Mice collectors, I guess. But yeah, they all got nice little hot dogs. You know, detail is there. They've even got little ends on them. So yeah, let's just go ahead and put this in his hand. Honestly, I have no idea what to say about the fact that he's holding a hot dog here. I'm not even sure what the right hand is for this. I don't think it's this one here, but we're going to just go with it because it's already on him. But there you go, hot dog. He is just enamored with this hot dog right there. Look at how happy Vinny is. Have you ever seen a mouse as happy with a hot dog than this one right here? Because really, he's ready for that dog. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this hot dog. It's really cool. I wouldn't have minded maybe some more detail on it perhaps, or maybe some like mustard or ketchup, but you know, hey, you eat your hot dog the way you want to eat it. But really, I'm more excited about the individual accessories each one of them has that are unique to them. And I'll start this round here with Moto. And so the Biker Mice each have one additional accessory to talk about, and that's their unique weapons. These are the weapons that you would have gotten with them if you were a kid back in the day. And some of them actually function the way that they're meant to, or more or less. So this would be Moto's weapon right here. This is the very simply named rocket gun. Not a rocket launcher, it's a rocket gun. Yeah, don't question it. So I believe back in the original toys, this would have actually launched a missile. In this case, it does not. What you see on the tip here, that is just there. There's no firing mechanism, so it's just basically exactly what you're seeing here. But let's go ahead and put it on his hand just to show you how it's going to look. And again, their hands are a softer material, so everybody should be able to get their weapons in with no problems. And there you go, that is the rocket gun. Not a lot of fanfare for it. You know, I do kind of wish that it fired, but I know that would actually cost a lot more money to do something like that. So, you know, we'll take what we can get with it. But all the detail is still there and then some. And I really like the gold color on this as well. So, you know, you've got the feeling again of the accessory. Might not do what the original did, but hey, you can't have everything, I guess. And that probably would have bumped the price up more than these guys already cost. And these guys do cost a pretty penny. But that's Moto's weapon. Let's see what everybody else got. I decided to put Vinny's helmet head on just to show you how that looks on him too, but Vinny comes with, again, another signature weapon we would have gotten back in the day, and that's the grip claw here. Really nice paint job again, and this one actually does work because there's no like spring-loaded mechanism. As you can see here, it's literally just a thing that you pull up and down, but you know, hey, it works, and I'm excited about that. So we're gonna put this in his hand here. I really like the metallic look that this one has. This is not vac metallized or anything like that. Let's see, we should just be able to extend it like that. And there we go. Oh, all right, that fell right out of his hand. That's good to know. Let's try the other hand, shall we? So let's put this in over here. Again, these are both the same types of hands. I don't know why it would fall out other than it just didn't fit right. Now, I know this is not the right way for him to hold it, but I just wanted you guys to kind of see it in his arm a little bit better. So that's how that's going to look. And again, we just pull it back and it functions. That's pretty fun. This should actually go like this. But, you know, it's a little bit harder to see like that. But that's the grip claw, and very nice. That was one of my favorites, I think, as a kid. I don't know why. I always just liked that. Maybe because it didn't need to, like, fire or anything like that. It was just there, and it looked really good. And it still does here, 20 years later. And in addition to that, we also have this crowbar-looking weapon over here, which is almost kind of like a nightstick, and similar color scheme to what we just looked at. But there's a handle. We should be able to just put this into his hand. I mean, I don't know if it's meant to go overhand or underhand, but I'm just going to do it like this. Why not? I mean, I think it's going to look better underhand, really, but I don't remember how it was meant to be as a kid. So I'm just going to say, since it has the handle, we're going to just do it nightstick style, kind of like that right here. That's a lot of fun. I do wonder if we can just fit it into his hand otherwise, though. I mean, I should be able to. Yeah, all right. I mean, it's there. You know, I don't know if I really like this one as much, but I think this is what he came with the original as well. So, you know, for completion's sake, it's got to be in there. So there you go. That's what Vinny comes with. As for Throttle, he comes with this over here. This bizarre looking thing is the sprocket launcher. This, believe it or not, actually does fire. Now, there is no firing mechanism per se. There's no like spring or anything like that. It's not a spring-loaded weapon. It's literally just you kind of push it like it's a syringe, and that's how you're going to launch it. And I'm just going to point it towards the back of my screen here. And I'm just going to kind of point it at the back of my screen for a second and just fire it off like this. Wow, okay, that kind of hurt. Yeah, you got to really be forceful with this thing to make it work. But as you can see, when it fires, that thing really does fire. And then you just easily reload it by just sliding it down. A little bit of work, and it gets in there. And by the way, it does come with, just like the original, 2 additional sprockets for 3 total. So 3 different pieces you can fire. All the same looking, I should add, but it does have some extra ammunition, so that's kind of fun. And we can get him to hold it pretty easily. And luckily, since this isn't spring-loaded, we can kind of mess around with it a little bit more like that. But yeah, there you go. In his arm, that's how that's going to look. Just like the original. And what a fun accessory. I really do appreciate that that one actually does work. Now, I wanted to do a few figure comparisons here, but since they're all kind of like different sizes, I'm just going to use Throttle as our sort of general figure to play with here. So I'm going to bring in a WWE Elite figure of Hulk Hogan, who I will preface by saying he is on the larger side compared to other figures. And I'm also going to bring in this Rogue from Marvel Legends. That's actually the X-Men 97 Rogue, but that's how they're going to look here. So, you know, as far as scale goes, yes, these will fit in with your 112 figures. And because they are all different sizes, I mean, they will fit in a little bit better than others perhaps here and there. But, I mean, yeah, the fact that Rogue is like this size, she's probably closer to Vinny's height. And, you know, Throttle is a little bit more accurate. It's like just the general 12-inch figure. So, you know, yeah, you got a pretty good amount of range here with these guys, and that's kind of nice to see. And just another one here, I've also got a G.I. Joe classified figure of Tunnel Rat, since we're in the world of rodents. And here is another Nacelle figure. This one is from the Sectaurs line, which we've also looked at on this channel. It's kind of interesting that Tunnel Rat here is actually significantly smaller, it feels like, than the others, but at the very least, you can see that Throttle and our Sectaurs figure are pretty much identical as far as height goes. So, you know, they are from the same company, so that's good that they are at least keeping themselves in scale with each other. Whereas other toy companies, you know, it'll be hit or miss, however it works out. but still not bad. But there's one other line I do want to test out here, and that's going to be starting with this character here. At least if we can get her stand, that's about as good as it's going to get. You may or may not recognize who that is, but if you don't, this should hopefully give you a clue. So yeah, I wanted to see how these guys scale up with some Ninja Turtles figures. Now, unfortunately, at the moment, I can't really access my NECA Turtles. This is how Venus is going to stand here. So they'd probably be a little bit taller, but more or less in the same scale. And that's really important for me to know because I kind of want those anthropomorphic characters to be very similarly sized. Now what we have over here is a Playmates turtle. This one came out last year. I reviewed it on my channel. It's Michelangelo in disguise from Playmates. And it's pretty much, a wider figure than like what NECA is doing, but essentially very similar scale-wise. So yeah, biker mice will fit in very nicely with your NECA turtles, as well as the Playmates ones that we're looking at right here. Now, of course, we're not talking like Playmates from the Mutant Mayhem film or anything like that. Those guys are too small. But as far as like the modern collector lines go that are in the 6-inch scale, 6 to 7-inch scale, I should say, then yeah, they're going to be able to just meld in seamlessly with these biker mice from Nacelle. So that's our look at the Nacelle Company Biker Mice from Mars figures. And we should add again that the motorcycles are indeed coming, but we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for those to come out. Those should be hitting, I guess, well, let's just say pre-orders will be fulfilled perhaps, because they're not going to really be showing up in stores, but pre-orders will begin to be fulfilled by the fall, I believe, for those. So we still have a bit of a delay between then, but that's fine by me. It means I've got more time to save some money. Speaking of, the big question now when I answer is whether or not I think these are worth the price point, because these guys are $40 figures, not counting shipping and handling or tax, if that's something you have to pay depending on where you live. So 40 bucks, again, this is a smaller toy line. It's a smaller company. You're getting a lot of articulation. You're getting a lot of accessories. It is a pre-existing IP, which means they got to pay their own licensing fees and stuff here and there. So, I won't lie and say that 40 bucks isn't a hard pill to swallow when we're talking about these figures here. And I don't know how deep your nostalgia runs for a license like Biker Mice from Mars, but let's face it, this kind of is the price point now for these higher end types of figures. And for what you're getting and the quality you're getting, I will say 40 bucks I think is fine. Do I wish they were cheaper? Yeah, of course I do, but that would mean that they were mass produced a lot more heavily, like a Mattel or a Hasbro figure. And these guys are simply just not produced as much as those other companies make their toys. Nacelle is, at the end of the day, a much smaller company, so that is the additional tax you're gonna have to pay to get these guys. Let's talk about Super 7 figures for a minute and just kind of compare the price points of these two things here. So a modern Super 7 figure, and I shouldn't really say modern, but I mean, current events, let's say Super 7, those will be $55 and then some depending on what it is. That's a lot of money too. And I feel like Super 7, they do include a lot of accessories, and I would say more than what Nacelle is doing here, but they're kind of in a similar world of things. But I will say that there is definitely, a difference between those two companies in a number of reasons. I don't want to completely compare those in this case here, but just as far as price goes, if Super 7 is going to get away with charging $55 for what they're doing, I think Nacelle can charge $40. And all right, I will do a little comparing here. The joints moved with no problem here with these Nacelle figures. Super 7 figures, they are tough, they will break, they're inconsistent. Sometimes they're way too loose, sometimes they're way too stiff. And that's a major, major dilemma here. But these guys all move fine. The joints swap out easily. The hands and the heads, they all come out with no problem. The weapons fit in their hands also with no problems. And more importantly, they are standing up straight right now as I do this rotation. And I do want to stress that because, I talk about this a lot in my videos. But, sometimes guys go on this stand here and they flop right on over. I was worried about these guys doing that because in the beginning, I was kind of wondering maybe they wouldn't be able to do that. But not really having any issues here. So that's a plus too. They can balance without being put on any kind of stands. Really, it's tough to say, but I to compare it to that and whatever and talk about these price points. But yeah, I do think 40 bucks is fair. Now, as far as the motorcycles go, I don't quite know the price of those. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but that is an extra fee you're gonna have to pay. You don't need it, but personally, I think these guys will look better with the motorcycles. I will say this too. The upside is you really just need to get these 3 biker mice. I mean, there will be other figures in the series, but like, Limburger, other characters, they're going to be secondary. Nacelle was like really kind about doing this. They put the core characters in this first wave, and they're not really abusing the fan base out there, because other companies would abuse the fan base, and by that I mean they would put maybe like one biker mouse and then another character and another character. I mean, look at Super 7. Look how many waves it took to get all 4 of the turtles together in just their average look. So, these are some things to consider here with what you're going to do. I will again stand by what I said. I think they're worth the price point, and I definitely think you guys should check them out. And speaking of, if you want to check them out, I'm going to have a few links to some places you can find them below. Some of those are affiliate links, and if you click on those links, it helps support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So that's Biker Mice from Mars from the Nacelle Company. I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about these toys and whether or not they are worth the price for your standards and your collecting needs. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys here next time. Stay tuned for more toy reviews, statue reviews, and everything else we do here on the channel.